Hello and welcome back. In the previous episode, we made the transitions between animations and put them into effect by code. In this episode, we will set up the level and the camera. Let's get going then. First, decrease the size of the animation window so that we can see the scene better. Next, let's adjust the camera. Go to Game View and click on this button here, which should say Free Aspect or Standalone. Then from the menu, click the plus icon. Write a name of your choice for the label. I will write Full HD. Check that the type is set to fixed resolution. Then for the width, write 1920 and for the height 1080 and click OK. Now the camera's resolution has been set to Full HD. Next, in hierarchy, drag the main camera on top of the player game object so that it becomes its child. Now, if we go to play mode, we see that the camera follows the player. Remember to exit play mode. Then, while the main camera is selected, change the orthographic size to 7. You can also give it another value depending on how close you want the player to be to the camera. Then, change the background color to something you like. I will change to light blue so that it looks more like daytime. Okay, the camera is good now. Next, we will deal with the level. Go to Scene View and select the crown pieces from Hierarchy. Duplicate them by pressing Ctrl plus D. While they are selected, hold down V from the keyboard and drag them next to the original pieces. Repeat this step once more. Now we have a long platform for the player to walk on. Next, let's add the ending and bottom parts for the ground. Drag the ground 0 from the project view and snap it on the left corner of the platform. Then drag ground 3 and place it under the ground 0. Next one will be ground 4, and it is the center part. Duplicate it enough to cover the whole length of the platform. After that, let's add the ending parts for the right side. Drag the parts 2 and 5 and snap them to their places. Remember always to snap the parts from their corner by holding down V, so that there are no spaces left between them. Then it is time for the bottom parts. Drag the part number 8 and snap it to bottom right corner. Next, drag the part number 7 and duplicate it enough to cover the whole length of the bottom of the platform. Then, drag the part number 6 and snap it to the bottom left corner. To clean up the hierarchy, drag all the crown parts inside of the empty game object we created earlier for the crown pieces. Final thing with this crown platform is to adjust the collider. Change the size and offset so that it covers the whole platform. You might end up with different values, most likely because our ground platform are not the same size. But that's not a problem. The important thing is that the collider covers the whole platform. Marvelous! Now we have a complete platform for the player to walk on. Let's test it in game to see how it looks like. It looks fine. However, we could adjust the camera's position a bit so that we don't see the sky under the platform. Select the main camera and adjust its position on Y-axis to 1. Now we can see only ground at the bottom of our screen. We have still a couple of things to do. Drag the spike sprite from project view into the scene. If it goes behind the ground, head to Inspector and change the order in layer to 1. The higher numbers are drawn on top of the lower numbers. By default, all sprites have the value 0. It's also possible to give negative values like -1 and so on. We don't need to go deeper into this now. Position the spikes nicely on the ground. Then drag the finished sprite into the scene. And finally, change the player's order in layer to 2 so that the player gets drawn on top of everything. Great! Now we are done for this episode. We have adjusted the camera and made a complete platform for the player to walk on. In the next episode, we will add collisions between the spikes and the player, as well as between the finish and the player. Remember to save the scene. See you again!